Guys, welcome to another day of biology. So I am your teacher, Miss Simon, and this is kind of what my classroom looks like right now. So as you can see, like if you come back in person, you will be sitting in here with your Chromebook and you will still be doing the same thing that you're doing at home. It's just that you'll be in person and I'll be able to help you a little bit better. But I just want you guys to be clear, like if you are coming back in person, it's not going to be like a normal class because of coronavirus. Okay, so you're going to be sitting in a divider at your own desk and with your computer still working like everyone else. Okay, so today we're talking about adaptations. But before we get into that, I have some announcements to make. So I asked for feedback on the class, like how do you guys feel about my class? Like, are you guys enjoying it or what? And most people were saying that it's really good, that they like my class, and they like me as a teacher, which is good. About 10 people said that it was too much work. And so I just kind of wanted to break down like how much time you should spend on each thing. So we have 90-minute class periods. 90 minutes, that's an hour and a half. So in that time, you're supposed to do Edpuzzle, Virtual Notebook, and Exit Ticket. My Edpuzzle videos, I try and keep them under 20 minutes so that including answering questions, it should take you about 35, maybe 45 minutes. The Virtual Notebook is about 10 slides, and most of the slides are like one thing that you have to drag and drop. So that should take you only about 30 minutes. And then your Exit Ticket should really take like 3-4 minutes, but I'll even allotted 5 minutes just to say 5 minutes, okay? So all in all, that's about 70 minutes of work and you have 90 minutes. So even if you're taking that time to like goof off and do whatever, like you still should be doing your work and you still should be able to finish it up. And like if you're not able to finish that, then that tells you that you need to be working on things outside of class. Or if you finish up early in another class, work on my work. Like you need to do whatever you need to do to make sure that this class you learn the information and to pass the class, because we have that STAR test at the end of the year in my class. Okay, so yeah. So today's objective is that scholars will be able to analyze an environment and determine what adaptations and variations would be beneficial, so good, or harmful, bad. So our essential questions, go ahead and read over those. All right, let's go ahead and get into some material. So what exactly is an adaptation? So an adaptation is going to be anything that helps an organism survive and reproduce more or better in its environment. An adaptation helps organisms outcompete, so compete better than the next guy. Okay, adaptations are typically inherited through DNA and are passed on to children, to offspring. So this example of an adaptation right here, or different adaptations. So these are just different bird beaks, so their mouths, and then their feet, their hands and their feet. So depending on what the beak is shaped like, or what the foot is shaped like, it can kind of give you a hint as to what that bird does. So let's look right here. A bird whose feet do this, right? It's typically going to do that so that it could perch, right? Because it's curved so it can perch on something. While one that swims, right, that's not good for perching, it could just fall off. So one that swims is going to have more of like a webbed type thing. So by looking at an organism, you can kind of already guess at what it does, like how it eats, what its job is. Okay, other adaptations. So this is a cheetah. So cheetahs have different adaptations that make them a top predator. So for example, they have these powerful jaw muscles to help them devour flesh. They also have night vision, so they have like a certain type of, I don't know, certain something, some sort of, it says tapetum lucidium. I think that's I don't know what that is. Basically, whatever it does is it reflects light back into the retina, so into the eyeball to enhance, to give them night vision. So this cheetah has lots of different adaptations that help it do its job. So let's look at some environments. So how would you describe this environment right here? What do you see? How about this environment? What do you notice about this one? Right, so we see two different environments and they have two sets of their own characteristics, right? You might have said the white one is snowy, cold, and then you might have said the one over there, outlined in red, is like lush and green. So since they have different physical characteristics, they look different, then different organisms are going to survive better in their ecosystems. So let's look at this right here. We have bear A and we have bear type B. In this environment, which do you think would live better? How about this environment? Right, so each environment will have different bears that can survive more. White fur in a dark green forest, so look over here, white fur in a dark green forest, this bear would stick out, right? So predators and hunters would be able to attack it. While white fur in a white forest, the predators and hunters wouldn't be able to really see that polar bear. So the polar bear will be able to live and breathe and be happy and reproduce, and it'll be awesome, right? So this kind of thing tells us why there aren't really white bears or white rabbits in green forests. And that also tells us why there are so many white bears and white rabbits in snowy areas. Okay, another way to learn adaptations that I thought of is the movie Cars. Hopefully you guys have seen this. If not, you'll still be able to get it. So these are different cars from the movie, different characters. They all look different, right? This car looks different from that one, which looks different from that one, which looks different from that one. They all look different. They each have their own set of physical characteristics that are different. So look right here. This is Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen, his physical characteristics, we can see that he has a 95, he has a lightning bolt, he has a bunch of stickers, he doesn't have headlights, and he has a cool smile. So Lightning McQueen has certain markings on his body because they help him in his environment. And his environment, if you did not know, he's a race car, right? So these markings on his body help us to know, oh, this is a race car. While this bug right here, or this car, is a bug, and this little bug, it has wings. And so we look at the wings, we can see no other cars have wings, right? But this one does. So we know that it has those wings. It's adapted for flight. Its adaptation allows it to fly. Let's look at Mater over here. What about him? What adaptation do you think that he has? How about this guy, Mac? Look at him. Based on his body shape and his different markings, what do you think his job is? All right, good. So there are three categories of adaptations. We have anatomical, which is the structure of the organism, how an organism is built. So for example, on a rose, there are different thorns that come off of a rose. That's a structure on a rose. Behavioral is just the way that an organism acts, right? Your behavior is the way that you act, what you actually do. So that would be like a mating call. Or there's physiological adaptations. These are going to be internal, so inside the body or inside of the cell, processes that happen in an organism. So for example, some organisms produce venom, right? That's an internal cellular and body process. It's not the way that they act, and it's not a structure. It's an internal process that creates that venom. So let's first talk into anatomical adaptations. So anatomical adaptations, they're come in all sorts of, all different forms of it. So an anatomical adaptation is an anatomical adaptation because it is about the structure. It's about the way that an organism is built. Camouflage allows an animal to blend into its environment, and it makes it hard for predators to find that individual. So this right here is actually a bug, but it looks just like all the other leaves. It's camouflaged. What do you think is a benefit of camouflage? Correct. Camouflage is for avoiding, right? So the benefit is that it helps organisms avoid predators. Predators can't kill this bug because they can't see it, right? So it helps avoid predators altogether. Bright colors on an organism, brightly colored organisms taste bitter and sometimes poisonous because predators know that a bright colored organism means it is either poisonous or it's going to taste really bad. So this is a tree frog in the Amazon rainforest. So what do you think is a benefit of bright colors? Exactly. Bright colors are going to be a warning. The benefit is to help organisms warn predators to stay away. So predators definitely can see it. They see these, right? But they also see, I don't want to mess with it because the colors are like, nah, don't mess with me, I'm poisonous. Mimicry. Mimicry is an adaptation in which one organism can look or sound or act like another organism. So for example, monarch butterflies are poisonous. If you did not know that, they are poisonous. While there's a knockoff butterfly, it's called the viceroy butterfly, and essentially it's not poisonous, but to a predator, they look pretty similar, right? So the viceroy butterfly is mimicking the monarch. What do you think is a benefit of mimicry? Why might viceroy butterfly use mimicry to survive? Right? They might use it to survive because it fools predators. So it basically tricks a predator into thinking that it's poisonous. Even though it's really not, it looks like it's poisonous because it has those bright colors just like the monarch butterfly. It's called mimicry. Other adaptations we could look at, deep roots versus shallow roots. So there's plants that have roots that go really down, far, deep, and there are plants that have roots that are really shallow. Right? If I am a desert, no. Think about a desert. What might you expect the roots to be? Would you expect them to be deep or short? Right? You would probably say that they would be deep. Because in a desert, does it rain a lot? No, it almost never rains in a desert. So the odds of there being water that falls down and reaches these top roots is very rare. Like it's very rarely going to do that. But desert plants that have deep roots so they tap into the underground water, right? Because they very rarely, again, it does not rain in the desert. So the only water that's really available in a desert is deep underground. So very deep roots can reach that hidden water underground. Okay, some other anatomical adaptations. So like a puffer fish has these spikes, or organisms might have claws or horns. Right? Those are things that are about their structures, their anatomical adaptations. Of course, my personal favorite, behavioral adaptations. So behavioral adaptations, there are two categories. We have innate adaptations that are inherited through DNA from your parents. So as soon as you're born, you already know this is the behavior that I have. So birds, when they're born, they know that one day they're going to fly. Fish, when they're born, they're already swimming. And humans, when we're born, we're not walking, but we all have the capability of walking. Okay, while a learned behavior is something that an organism can learn by observing another organism. So for example, a baby boy can be born and doesn't speak any language. But as he grows around his family and his family is speaking French, then that baby is going to learn, oh, this is the behavior we do, we speak French. Right? Another learned behavior could be like riding a bicycle. You didn't come out the womb knowing, oh, I'm going to ride a bicycle, right? Because that's not an innate behavior. It's not in your DNA. But you can learn that by observing another organism riding a bicycle. And then you're like, oh, I can do that as well. Okay. Courtship behavior is an innate behavior. It's a mating behavior. So in order to attract a mate, reproduce, and continue the species, some organisms are going to develop mating rituals. So this right here is a peacock mating dance. Yeah. So that is the peacock mating dance. So what it does is it is fluffing out its feathers all big and pretty, and it's just going to like start shaking them and whatnot towards the female to try and get the female to mate with him. There's also goat mating calls and things like that. These are mating behaviors. Seed dispersal. So plants want to grow as much as possible. They want to grow everywhere that they can. So they've developed these things called fruits and seeds. So fruits and seeds taste good. They taste yummy, right? So animals are going to go up to the plant, take the fruits and seeds, and then as the animal is running around, it's going to drop seeds in different places. So as it drops those seeds everywhere, then suddenly those seeds are planted, and then they can continue to grow into a new plant, right? So seed dispersal is something that animals and plants do together. Last but not least, we have physiological adaptations. So first physiological adaptation that I always think of is the fight or flight response. So when threatened, animals are going to experience increased adrenaline. So whenever you feel threatened and your heart starts beating really fast, you're no longer hungry, or you're ready to fight, your muscles are ready to go, right? That is all caused by this stress hormone called adrenaline. Right? This stress hormone is going to increase blood flow to your muscles, in your legs, and in your arms. So the animal can either run or it can stay and fight. So as you can see, this is a threatening situation, and this organism decided to stay and fight, and this one decided to run to flight. So fight or flight, that is a physiological response. It's an internal body process that most of the time you can't control this. If you get scared or you feel threatened, you can't control your heart beating really fast, right? It just happens. It's an internal physiological body process. Venom production. So some organisms are going to produce a toxin that makes their victim sick. It could even kill the victim. So of course we know snakes, bees, wasps, and spiders are some of the things that have venom. There also are some plants that have venom as well. Okay, so venom production is a physiological internal body process that just happens. Antibiotic resistance. So antibiotics are designed to end the life of a bacteria. So antibio, there it is again, B-I-O. Bio means life. So antibio means against life of a bacteria. And over time, bacteria can actually develop strategies to avoid being killed by antibiotics. So I'm just kind of introducing this because we will talk about that, like the specific strategies, in a later lesson, I think next semester. So this is the antibiotic, the pill, the drug, and this is the bacteria. As you can see, it's resisting the drug. So antibiotic resistance is a physiological response. So how do you answer these adaptation questions? Well, of course, you want to ask your essential questions first, and then let's go through them again. Anatomical is the structure of an organism, so the way something looks. Behavioral is the way that an organism acts, what it does, its behavior. And then physiological is going to be that internal body process. So how are some traits beneficial in one environment but detrimental in others? Well, every environment has its own unique set of challenges, right? So a unique set of challenges. So in a desert, right, the challenge that we've talked about over and over and over again in a desert is that there's only a little bit of water and most of it is underground, right? A tundra, one of its main set of challenges is that it's snowy and white, which means that organisms that live there are going to need to blend in with the background. So they're going to be white or lighter. And they're also going to need to have thick fur and fat and blubber so that they can stay warm. Right, so each environment has its own unique set of challenges that are going to make some traits beneficial while other ones can be detrimental. So again, in a tundra, since it's snowy and white, an organism that has lots of fat would do really well there, right, because it'll stay warm. But if you take that same organism that has all that fat and places them in a desert, they're probably going to, die off or something because it's so hot because of all their fat, and it's also hot in a desert. So that's how some traits can be beneficial, but detrimental in others. Okay, and last but not least, I'm gonna make myself a little bigger so y'all can really see me. The 6 weeks is almost over. I don't know how it flew by so quickly, but it is almost over. So, so this, what we are talking about today is adaptations in biodiversity and biomes. So that's this. When's your test? This day. So the test is coming up. Whether you're in person or at home, you will take the test on that day. But then after that, you will have a bit of a break. You guys don't have school that day. I will have to be in school, but you guys don't. And so then you guys will have more information to learn. We'll start another unit. Yeah, so notice there is a test review day. You will get test review information, probably posted, or not probably, it will be posted on Google Classroom. I'm sorry I'm rambling. This is probably really long. Bye.